So standing in the car, you said maybe you just start, maybe introduce yourself as naturally as you want to.
I'll give you a little bit of my background, and then I don't even think you know it.
No.
I was born in an old farm in Hartshain, Mississippi, which is a real place, and it's just about 5 miles north of Macomb, Mississippi, maybe 10 miles. And it was formed along the Bogue River. Early settlers, they farmed the bottom land and lived on the hills up above. And my great-grandfather had a real working farm. And by the time I came along, it was sort of, half-assed of a farm, because the industrial world had come into being. My uncle worked for the telephone company, and my grandfather worked for the railroad. And they came home and fiddled around on the farm. But all the things were there: this blacksmith shop, the buggy house, the cow barn, the horse barn, and everything was run just like it had been run like 1870 or something. Had a water well. And
how big of a place?
160 acres. Okay. And I still own a little piece of it because they split it up over time. And they had a railroad that passed along the lower part of it along the river. But what's fascinating to me about it that they went to Natchez, Mississippi, which is 60 miles away, once a year. And a wagon group would get together and take their cotton and their smoked ham and everything and trade it to buy a barrel of flour and bolts of cloth and, the things that would last a whole year. And the trip took 2 weeks, 60 miles to go and back in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And today when I drive across there in an hour,
right,
it seems ridiculous that 100 years of progress of what it's done there. But even when I was a little kid, the roads were all gravel and they were not numbered. And I can remember going with my uncle someplace and have to stop and ask directions about you go down to that corner and turn, and then you go here, and then there's a big bully. It's always out there by a fence. You take that.
How did your family get the land? Was it a land grant? Or?
No, he bought it. And we're kind of vague about how he got it. I think they paid $1 an acre for it or something like that. And my granddad bought a lot of land for $1 an acre. He made $1 a day on the railroad and bought land for $1. So we got a little oil on it now, and I get a little oil income from it.
Right, right.
Yeah, it was just dirt, gravel roads, dirt roads. And now everything's paved, And
what about the house? What did it look like?
The old house is gone.
What did it look like? Was it a two-story? Or?
It was a typical house that they had a shingle roof, wasn't painted, a fireplace at each end, and then they had 2 houses really. The dining room and the kitchen was one house, and there was a walkway in between. Mm-hmm. Another fireplace in the kitchen. They slung stuff out over the fire. And then when I came along, they put an iron stove and hooked it into the fireplace and kept hot water behind the stove in a tank and dipped it out in the morning. And as a kid, they'd put you in front of the fire, and that's where you bathed. And
probably really high ceilings too.
Yeah, pretty high ceilings.
Yeah. So
there's no spinning wheel still sitting in one of the rooms by the fireplace.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's all gone now, and it's hard to realize that I was in the end of an era.
Right.
And I was thinking the other day that he taught me how to plow when I was about 12 years old, behind an old mule. And 15 years later, I was plowing fast, twice the speed of sound. Just like that. Okay, when I was 17 years old, I joined the Marines, 1942. And 4 years in the Marine Corps, South Pacific mostly, but I'd never been away from home before, and I hit that Marine camp when you're 17 years old, and the mean sergeants come out and giving you hell and beating you with a stick and get in line, boy, step in, step in.
What was people talking about?
I tell you what my feeling was that I remember walking down the street and they said, they bombed Pearl Harbor. I said, where's Pearl Harbor? What is Pearl Harbor? Was my reaction, and everybody was all excited. They didn't know what was going on. They formed a home guard people, and in case they needed them and all this kind of stuff. Everybody was volunteering and people standing in line at the volunteers. I wasn't old enough. I went down and my mother had a fit because I was 16. It's going to lie about my age, but she raised so much hell. And when I was 17, she said, "All right, go ahead." So she let me go. And I was delivering papers when I was 16 years old. Earned spending money. That's, you know, there wasn't much money around then. I'd get up every morning about 4 and run my paper out and then go to school. I played football with a high school and much weight today I could never even think about it. But and in New Orleans they swore us in and put us on a train and sent us to San Diego. I don't know how long the trip took. I can't remember. But as we reached down in Mexico, they came and pulled down all the shades because it's wartime and they didn't want people to see who was traveling on the trains. Then we arrived in El Centro. And El Centro played a big part in my life, but the railroad from El Centro to San Diego made about 7 loops like this going up that mountain through tunnels and everything else. It was fascinating. It took and one train pushed and one train pulled, and it was fascinating, that part of it. And then at the depot, they picked us up, took us to the base, and it was chaos from that on. And they organized us into 60-person platoons, and the sergeants were introduced to the SOS the first morning, and said, "What the hell is SOS?" I soon found out it was shit on the single. That's a fried hamburger with a white sauce on it over toast. That's the SOS name came into that. I shouldn't have that on the video again. But anyhow, when we finished, I went to rifle range, and they still, in the rifle range, they still were on the old traditional family style dining. And I'll never forget this. We had to go and stand at attention by the table, and they had plates on the table and the food and bowls, and everything's lined up. And you had to stand at attention until it said seats. But I had a fork out of line. So I reached up and I straightened that fork out. Something hit me back of the head. "Boy, I see you moving." Hands like that coming back of the neck, it shook me. And anyhow, I did pretty good on my little test they gave. And I was qualified to go to C school. If you went to C school, which was another month, then you get, I don't know what it was, but you got a blue uniform and it's on the battleship as a guard and so forth. And but I wasn't interested in that, and they sent me over to North Island, which is the aviation department. I marched away with them, and I wound up in Chicago. I was a mechanic school at Navy Pier in Chicago. It's a big shopping center today, but we marched to Grant Park, and coach named Dick Hanley. I still remember his name. He was a coach at Northwestern University. He was also a reserve Marine. And he started a program of getting us all out of bed early in the morning, and we made a mile run around outside the pier and back in the pier, and then we had classes all day long after that. But that was a good way when we snuck out and we could hide out all and wait till the morning run came. Then we'd run in with the morning run and get back inside. So if you had to be in by 12 o'clock, you didn't make it by 12, you hid outside and waited for the morning run, and then you came in with the morning run.
So this is still 42, 1942?
That was 1942, yeah. When I graduated, they sent me to El Centro, which I mentioned before, and I've been working on the line as a mechanic. And we had transit airplanes that come through. Primarily, there's a lot of them going to San Diego from the factories where they're flying airplanes into the, and women pilots were flying some of them. You've heard of those, what they call the WASP, I think, and they were doing all right. And then I was transferred to Miramar, and then I went overseas to, well, I went to North Carolina first, and then to overseas, and then Petaluma.
Well, you went from San Diego to North Carolina?
Yeah.
To Camp Lejeune, is it?
To Cherry Point.
Cherry Point?
Cherry Point, North Carolina. That was a big Marine base there. And
then you sailed from there?
we went back, then they sent us all back to San Diego. And then we were sent to the Pacific. And I joined Marine Air Group 11 at a later date. And they were the original group on Guadalcanal. I joined them at Petaluma. And they invaded Petaluma in 44, I guess it was. And that was one of the real bloody battles of the war, but I wasn't. I was a airplane mechanic, so I didn't really get shot at. But when they secured the airport, they put us ashore, and we took care of the airplanes that were flying. And I didn't know what was going on until I saw a documentary on it, and it was very good about how this general came in, and a three-star general, and fired the general who was in charge of the operation for charging people up this, they called it Bloody Nose Ridge, and killing all these people. He said, you can't take ground with dead Marines, was his expression. And he started using sensible tactics and got rid of the Japanese. They killed a lot of Japanese, I don't know how many thousands, and I think they lost, I don't know how many thousand people in the thing, but they're pulling people out of aviation and took them down as stretcher bearers. But I was essential, I didn't get that good job. But Tsingtao,
right.
It's in the central.
Central.
They make a good beer.
Right, okay, right.
It was settled by, after war, the Europeans took different enclaves in China. It was a German enclave.
Wow.
That's how they wound up with a brewery there.
I'll be done.
And they're in Tsingtao. And we had a group up at Peking, and a group at Tsingtao, and then we pulled out in about March of '46. We came home.
So you went back to the States?
Came back to the States, and I got out of the Marines and went back to Natchez, where I enlisted, and then I got involved with the Army there, and I decided to go to OCS and pass the credit and got in OCS. And so I know when I came home, nobody had a car. All the cars were wore out. You couldn't get new cars because all the automobiles, there's no manufacturing of automobiles between 42 and 45, I guess. So cars were a rarity. I bought an old Plymouth that would barely run, but I paid a lot of money for it just because it was, some kind of transportation. Actually, the automobile were plentiful only about 2 or 3 years before automobiles became plentiful again.
Right.
The sugar ration was off, and the shoe ration was off, and everything was rationed during the war. You got gas stamps for gas. You could only get so much. You had to give you stamps when you bought gas. And
right. I was just curious, when you got back, did it feel like things were fundamentally different or the same? Just, things like cars are,
I don't know, it'd been 4 years and I'd gone through this, and all the guys were coming home and going to school and getting jobs, and it was different because they had the GI Bill, which a lot of guys got education, good education. I used my GI Bill and learned to fly. Mm-hmm. That was a ruin of me, I guess. That's all I ever wanted to do after that.
Right.